and welcome to today's skin therapy session. We are going to be going over the 5 W's of sunscreen. Who should be wearing it? When should we be wearing it? How to wear it? What to wear? All of the things. I'm also going to break down the difference between a physical mineral sunscreen and a chemical organic sunscreen. Then at the end of this video, I will share a list of sunscreens that I personally recommend to my clients or even use myself of various price points. There will be 2 links to each item that I'm talking about in the description box down below. The first link is going to be to like a traditional store, whether it be like Target or Ulta. And the second link, because I know everybody's like shopping online right now, is going to be through Amazon. These will be affiliate links, so I do earn a small commission if you click the link and make a purchase, and that helps support my family. So I appreciate you using them. Now let's get started because I have a lot to go over. So try your best to not fast forward through any of the parts because you might miss something. But if you have to skip ahead, I will have a blog post going over everything that I'm talking about, and I will have that linked in the description box down below as well. You'll see me kind of look down every once in a while referencing my notes. I wrote up basically the whole blog post in notes before filming this, so I would have all my ideas like comprised all nice and neat, but also so I could like copy and paste and have that blog post ready to go. And I didn't want to miss anything either. But if I just so happen to miss something, or if you have a question, definitely comment down below and I will try to answer every single comment. I would also like it to be known that I am a licensed esthetician in the state of Arizona. I am not a doctor, I am not a chemist, and I am unable to diagnose anyone with anything. I'm also going to be using the term SPF a lot in this video, and of course sunscreen. SPF stands for sun protection factor, and this measures how much of that product is protecting you from UVB rays, and we'll touch more on the difference between the rays here in a little bit. Now also keep in mind that there is no sunscreen on the planet that can block out 100% of the UV rays. But for instance, when you look at that like label and it says SPF, and I'm going to read this off so I get it correctly. SPF 15 blocks 93% of UVB rays, SPF 30 blocks 97%, and SPF 50 blocks 98% of UVB rays. So that's only a 1% difference of coverage between an SPF 30 and an SPF 50. So keep that in mind as we get going through this video. As for UVA protection, you're going to want to look for a product that specifically says that it is a broad spectrum, also known as a full spectrum sunscreen. Most sunscreens nowadays are broad spectrum, but I figured it's worth mentioning, like you should look on the label and make sure that it says like broad spectrum or full spectrum. That way you're covered from UVA and UVB. And right before we get into the 5 W's, something I've heard my clients say, and it's like, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's absolutely a myth, is that if they layer, let's say an SPF 15 and an SPF 30, they're like, oh, I have SPF 45 coverage right now. No, not at all. You are able to layer sunscreens, but they don't add up. You are wearing a 15 and a 30, period. That'd be cool if it was the case, because I'd be layering on all the SPFs. I feel like I'm yelling. Am I yelling at you? I'm like super excited about this, okay? I've worked really hard on this. Like as in when I copy and pasted it into like a word count, this was over 2,000 words. So pause this if you need to and grab a snack. We're in for a long one, but you are going to have so much knowledge about sunscreen after this. You're gonna be telling your friends about it. And I appreciate it if you share this video with them and give them the knowledge that we're going to get started with here right now. So that brings me into who should be wearing sunscreen? That's a great question. Who should be wearing sunscreen? And the answer is everyone. Every single age group, skin type, skin tone, all of the things that you can think of, everyone should be wearing a sunscreen. Now, when to wear sunscreen? And I'm gonna tell you a little caveat, I think that's what it's called, when you tell a little story. Growing up in New York, we pretty much only wore sunscreen when we were like going to the pool or going to the beach, which again was very rare where we were in New York because we were like upstate a little bit. Like, and even worse to admit, as I got older and was a teen, I would literally go outside with like foil and baby oil and try to burn because I wanted to be like bronze and tan. And this was before the ages of sunless tanner, okay? So bad. Believe me, I'm disappointed in myself too. Ugh, it's so embarrassing. So the reason I'm even telling you all of that is because I too was once not knowledgeable or educated on the subject of wearing sunscreen and the harmful effects of UV radiation. So it's okay if today is your starting point. That's why I'm here, to help you and support you throughout your journey. But to answer the question of when should we be wearing sunscreen, it is every single day. Rain or shine, indoors, outdoors, just like you wear underwear or deodorant. Hopefully both. It should be worn all day, taken off at night, so that you can apply fresh in the morning. It is so interesting to think of the times that we are getting sun exposure and not really thinking of it. Like for example, if you are sitting by a window or you're in your car, that glass only blocks out UVB rays and not UVA rays. UVA rays are strong enough to penetrate through clouds. So even on a cloudy day, you can get burnt, you can get damage to the skin. And even on the opposite side of things, snow. UVB rays reflect so beautifully off of snow. How convenient. And we don't even think about ambient lighting. Like those plants that you have in the middle of the room, they're getting their photosynthesis light from somewhere. So is your skin. So that kind of like guides us into why are we wearing sunscreen. But first, let's talk a little bit of science, because I want you to have that full understanding as to really why we apply sunscreen. So the sun creates 3 different radioactive waves: UVA, UVB, and UVC. And luckily, UVC is blocked by our ozone. So thank you, ozone, for keeping us alive. That's why the ozone is so important, and when it was like starting to get like disrupted, it was such a big deal because it's letting through radiation that like we cannot handle as humans. UVA rays are known as the premature aging rays. They damage the collagen and accelerate the loss of elasticity in the skin, creating wrinkles and sagging. Nobody wants that, okay? Now, while the UVA rays are extra naughty, the UVB rays are known as the burning rays. These are the ones that kind of affect the top layer of the skin. And these rays activate the body's defense mechanism of creating inflammation, erythema, heat. And where you have heat and inflammation and redness, because erythema is like the redness and dilation of blood vessels in the skin, you are going to have damage. The damage from both UVA rays and UVB rays are cumulative, which means you're becoming damaged from the sun exposure little bits throughout your life. And that's why you see a lot of our older community coming in with skin issues. Now, when I say issues or skin damage, let's dive a little bit deeper into what that actually means. So when the skin is exposed to UV radiation, a chain reaction occurs. First, the UV hits the skin and it causes free radicals, which are chaotic electron-stealing molecules. They're chaos. They're no good whatsoever. These free radicals damage the DNA in the cells, accelerate DNA mutations, and activate the enzyme called tyrosinase. Tyrosinase then stimulates the melanocytes, which produce the pigment-carrying melanosomes, who produce the complex protein called melanin. You've heard that before. You've heard that term, melanin. Melanin is the pigment that protects the cells from any additional damage. So the body will then take the melanin and start to kind of get it up to the surface a little bit more, so it protects more cells underneath. That is called the melanin transfer. So in short, being tan and getting a tan from the sun means your body is trying to protect itself. It doesn't want that to be happening. And I know some medications, hormonal imbalances, and of course, overexposure of UV over time can produce too much melanin, which will lead to hyperpigmentation, also known as sunspots. You'll see those pop up on the sides of the forehead, tops of the cheeks, and very much so often on the left-hand side, because when we're driving, that is where the sun is hitting you the most from the driver's side window. Because again, that window is not blocking the UVA, the aging rays. But there is hope. Aside from just sunscreen, there are ingredients that are called tyrosinase inhibitors. This is going to slow down that chain reaction we were just going over. Look for products that have hydroquinone, that have ascorbic acid, that have vitamin C, arbutin, retinol, anything that is going to brighten and turn the cells over a little bit quicker. Another one to look for is niacinamide. That's another key, very hot topic right now. Niacinamide helps inhibit the melanin transfer. That's that bringing of the pigment up to the top layers, but it doesn't bring it up to the surface. It just kind of like sits in there. That's why you need other ingredients. Think of like a retinol that's going to pull everything up, and especially like a hydroquinone, which is known as a bleaching ingredient. A little bit controversial on that one, but the idea is that it's going in and removing the pigmentation. So if you are able to pair one of the tyrosinase blockers with like a melanin transfer like the niacinamide, that is going to be like your golden ticket to clear, beautiful skin if you already have some pigmentation going on. So like I said, if you already have some hyperpigmentation going on, you need to start wearing a sunscreen ASAP. Because even if you're going through all of these amazing products and getting rid of your pigmentation, the moment you go back out into the sun unprotected, it's going to come right back. Wear your hats, wear your sunscreen, your UV protecting sunglasses, protect all the things, okay? And really today we are talking mostly about the face, since that's what I primarily focus on. But of course, protecting the body with UV protected clothing and sunscreens on the rest of the body is of course recommended. Now let's back up a moment. Remember those free radicals we were talking about just a little bit earlier? Not only do they start that chain reaction of tanning the skin, that damage also accelerates mutations in our DNA, which can potentially lead to one of 3 types of skin cancers. And not to scare you, but more so to educate you on this matter, is that certain types of skin cancer, if left untreated, can spread to other parts of the body, which makes it more difficult to treat. So that is why it is so extremely important to protect your skin and schedule your annual full body scan visits with your dermatologist once a year. Get the physical done, get everything checked out so that you have the peace of mind and know that you are healthy to move forward and live a long, healthy life. This isn't just about the look of our skin. I know we were talking about wrinkles before and hyperpigmentation, and yes, there's things we could do to focus on those, but this also is genuinely about living a long, healthy, fruitful life. So now that we know who should be wearing sunscreen, when we should be wearing sunscreen, and why we wear sunscreen, let's talk about how we wear sunscreen. To properly apply sunscreen, you need to apply a generous, even amount to the skin. And I'm gonna say that again because I have clients coming in and telling me, Michelle, I got a sunburn and I put my sunscreen on, and I'll ask them, I'll like give them a bottle of whatever is handy and be like, can you show me how much you applied and how often did you apply it? And they'll be like this tiny little amount, and I'm like, girl, you're killing me. You need a good, generous, even amount. I mean, you don't need to be glopping it on like a crazy thick layer, but you need to make sure that you are getting everywhere evenly and that you are reapplying often. Those are like the 2 like main factors that I hear the most when it comes to my clients. Also, don't forget to apply it to the tops of your ears. This is a really common area that we start to see changes in the skin, shape, sizes of different growths or hyperpigmentation spots. If you have any areas that are starting to change shape, size, color, 3D effect, you know, how big they are, absolutely seek professional help from a medical doctor as soon as possible, just to give you peace of mind. But yeah, tops of the ears, back of the neck, tops of the hands, especially now because we are washing our hands so much. And think about when you're driving and moving around and doing stuff, or even in the winter, we have shirts and sweaters up to here, but our hands are always exposed. So wearing a like hand cream with a little bit of SPF in it, and even our lips. I know I mentioned sunglasses before because you need your UV protected sunglasses, so we already talked about that. Lips is a really important one, and of course we talked about sunscreen. As a general rule of thumb, you usually need to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours or sooner if you are like excessively sweating or swimming. But of course, like read the instructions in the bottle. They may need you to apply it sooner or later or anything like that. So just follow the instructions. And often chemical sunscreens need to be applied at a minimum 15 minutes before you have any sort of sun exposure, because they need that time to activate in the skin. Another note is to not forget to wash it off at night. I know we kind of talked about that before. While most sunscreens themselves are non-comedogenic, they sometimes have more occlusive binders in them, which help hold in water in the skin. So that's a good thing. It's holding in moisture, it's protecting you, all the good things. However, if it's left on there for too long, that occlusive barrier, all of your natural oils are still being produced underneath and getting trapped. And that's why sometimes you'll see clogged pores happening when you're wearing sunscreens, is because they're not getting washed off properly in the evening. Same goes for silicone makeup primers. You need to be using a double cleanse method at night before bed, before doing your nighttime routine. And I wanna make sure I mention this, that if you are struggling fitting in a sunscreen into your routine, look for a daytime moisturizer that has at least an SPF of 30 in it. It's a 2-in-1 step. It's not ideal. I still recommend to my clients to use like a moisturizer and an SPF. That way you can kind of like keep reapplying the SPF without all the extra moisturizer. But at this point, if that is what you need to put on to wear a sunscreen, please, by all means, use it. My morning routine looks something like I cleanse, I use my serum / corrective, then I go in with my moisturizer, let that sink in a second, and apply my SPF. Then I can go on with my day as is, or I can go into my makeup routine. So what kind of sunscreen is best? There are two different types of sunscreens. There is the chemical SPF and a physical SPF. Chemical ones are also known as organic sunscreens, and physical sunscreens are known as mineral sunscreens. So what is the difference between these two? Great question. Chemical sunscreens, they absorb the UV rays and dissipate them across the top of the skin. Whereas physical sunscreens do just that. It creates a physical barrier on the skin and reflects off all of the UV radiation. Let's dive into the chemical sunscreens a little bit more. Chemical sunscreens work by absorbing the UV radiation through a chemical reaction. This is again why it needs to be applied 15 minutes prior to any sun exposure, but this is also why sometimes you'll see people apply it on like sensitive skin or babies or even just a regular person, and they'll have an allergic reaction or skin irritation come up because there is a chemical reaction happening in order to protect you, which can create heat and irritation in the skin, like I said. This one I'm gonna read off because I'm going to butcher these. In the United States, typical chemical SPF actives are aminobenzoic acid, avobenzone, that one's a really popular one, octioxalate, another popular one, octocrylene, and oxybenzone. Oxybenzone, let me tell you, is a hot topic in the skincare world because it may potentially be a hormone disruptor, which means it has the ability to cross a cell membrane and interfere with the natural hormone production. And I don't know about you, but that sounds horrible to me. But keep in mind that this is a controversial topic because of the way that the clinical studies were done. So I'll encourage you to kind of do your own research on that. Something that is fact is that oxybenzone and antioxidant are bleaching coral reefs and can cause coral death. So if you are going to be near any sort of water life, oceanic life whatsoever, I encourage you to please practice safe sunscreen and look for a formula that specifically says reef safe. Something else to keep in mind when it comes to chemical UV filters is that they break down quicker than physical ones. So you need to reapply them more often. So I feel like we've definitely shared all of like the negative and cons of chemical sunscreens, but there is a benefit to using them. They are often formulated to absorb into the skin pretty quickly and are often very light on the skin. So on the other hand, let's move on to mineral sunscreens. They typically have active ingredients of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. These inorganic minerals sit on top of the skin, protecting you by reflecting off any UV radiation. They are notoriously known for creating like a white cast, especially because of the titanium dioxide that is often used in a lot of our like white cosmetics to give it that very creamy white look. So like think of like in the 80s, everyone had like the really white noses, but formulations have come such a long way that it's very rare that we're finding like a decent mineral SPF difficult to find. I'll share a couple here later on that I really like that aren't giving me that white cast, but just keep that in mind next time you're picking out a bottle. Something else to look for with mineral sunscreens is that it says that it is non-nano minerals. So what that means is that nanoparticles have the capability of getting into the bloodstream. So non-nano particles or minerals are just big enough to sit right on the top. Now, there really isn't much research or like clinical studies done on if it is getting into the bloodstream, what is it doing? Is it harmful? But like, why worry about it when there are formulas out there that are non-nano particles? Especially for somebody like me who deals with regular hormonal imbalances. I personally don't have a thyroid, so I don't have anything regulating my metabolism, any of my girl stuff, unless I take a medication. And even then it's about, you know, making sure it's the right levels and all that. I try my best to be conscious of what I put on and in my body. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not perfect. I absolutely love and enjoy some no-no products, but I do try to limit those and am mindful of certain exposures. But all in all, I want to say this to you because it is something that I say to my clients is I do not judge what type of sunscreen you use as long as you are using one, okay? I just want you to wear one every single day. Protect yourself, protect your kids, your family, educate them on the importance of why we are wearing a sunscreen, how to wear one properly, removing it at night, all the shebang. And as long as you find a formula that feels good for you, that you can hold yourself accountable to using on a regular basis, I am all for that. Do what makes you feel comfortable and that is effortless to apply every single morning. On that note, let's talk about a couple of formulations that I personally use or recommend. Some of them I have in front of me and some of them I've either used in the past or did some research and was like, ooh, okay, I want to try that next. And like I mentioned before, links to each of these will be in the description box below, and there'll be 2 links for each item, and there will be a price next to it. Sometimes that varies, obviously, with Amazon. I feel like it changes with the wind, so just definitely keep that in mind. And it is not going to be a surprise that all of the sunscreens I'm going to be sharing with you are mineral sunscreens. Those are just the ones that I personally use and recommend for my clients. Again, I don't judge. If you have any questions about sunscreens, leave them in the comments down below. Okay, so the first one I'm going to share with you is one that I personally use and absolutely love. It is the Marini Physical Protectant Broad Spectrum SPF 45. This has a light tint to it. It has 6% titanium dioxide, 8% zinc oxide, some green tea, and CoQ10 enzymes to protect and like help the skin thrive. You still want to wear a moisturizer with any of the sunscreens I'm going to talk about today. I don't believe I'm sharing any like 2-in-1. I love how this feels on my skin. It leaves like a very soft, matte, yet satiny, like natural skin finish. So I could wear just this, or I can apply my makeup afterwards without an issue. It almost feels kind of like a primer, so it's really comfortable going on. As for the tint, I feel like the tint in there is just helping to balance out that titanium dioxide white cast. So you're not going to see that tint. It's not like a BB cream. It's not going to give you any coverage. The next one is very similar to that, and I used it prior to getting my Marini Physical, is the PCA Skin Sheer Tint Broad Spectrum SPF 45. It has 7.5% titanium dioxide, 8% zinc oxide, so very similar to the Marini one. It also has the CoQ10 enzymes. Now this one, you're not able to purchase online to my knowledge, but I do have, again, my license, and I am able to purchase it and drop ship it to you. So if you want to order anything from the PCA Skin Professional line, DM me or email me, and I will get that order in for you right away. The next one has been a long-time favorite of mine of different formulas. There was a couple that I was using back in the day that I realized had some of the ingredients that I was trying to avoid. So when I transitioned over this one, I was really happy with it. It is the Kula Mineral Face Sunscreen Matte Finish Sheer Non-Greasy Fast Absorbing Plant Protection. That is a long name. It is an SPF of 30, and it has a little over 2.5% of titanium dioxide, about 8% of zinc oxide, some antioxidant-rich oils, and other like barrier protecting oils like Rosehip and Evening Primrose. I kind of like the feel of the Jan Marini one a little bit better than the Coola, but I wanted to be fair and share ones that I have tried and that I do use. But I do like this one a little bit more, and they're different price points, so thought I'd throw that out there. While doing some research and getting links for the ones that I was sharing, I did come across the Coola Tropical Coconut Mineral Body Organic Sunscreen Spray. This is an SPF of 30, and I have not personally tried this one, but it is in my cart. I want to purchase this one. I'm going to purchase this one. The reason being, I feel like I like using sprays to help me like get the product on initially, and I don't mind rubbing in sunscreens or lotions. I just, for some reason, I like the idea of sprays helping me get to the area, and then I can like work it in. Maybe that's just me and my personal preference. I like using it on the kids too. While they like using like creams like this on their face, they like to use sprays on their body. Talking about ease of application, the next one is pretty dang cool. This is the Derma E Skin Protection Mineral Face Powder SPF 30. This is like a kick butt little product. This has almost 17.5% titanium dioxide and 20% zinc oxide with green tea, chamomile, and vitamin E. Check this out. It's a brush. It is truly a mineral powder, and it goes on fairly translucent, kind of like the tint that are in some of these other ones. You don't really see it. And how I like to apply, actually I'll put it on right now. You can see a little bit of a, there isn't like a pump or anything. You just kind of like, I start to pat it onto the skin in like the main areas and on the top of the nose. And then I'll kind of like go back and do light little swirls to make sure I'm not doing it in mirror. I'm doing it in the viewfinder. So I might not be doing it quite right. I might be missing an area. But it's kind of easy enough that you don't really need one. And see, it didn't really change it. Maybe it mattified me a little bit, but I was a little shiny to begin with. But this is perfect to keep in your purse for on the go, for every day. Let's say you're out and about doing your errands and you're like, man, it's been a few hours. I'm kind of like going in and out of stores, in and out of the car. Those have incandescent lights in all those stores, the big box stores. Have this in your car, reapply it real quick. It's not in a liquid form, so it's not gonna get all melted and gloopy. Super cool invention. I love this stuff. And while I was looking for the link for that, and I have not tried this product, just full disclosure, but I do want to try it. It is the Derma E Sun Defense Mineral Oil Free Face Sunscreen SPF 30. So it doesn't have any junk and gunk in it because it's from Derma E, and we could trust that they have wonderful, clean ingredients. It has an SPF of 30, if I didn't mention that already. The retail value is like $15. You cannot beat that. It has 20% zinc oxide, no titanium dioxide, but it does have vitamin C and green tea in it. So I want to get that one to try it when I like run out of these. Another one that is really popular, I only have like a little sample size of it, so I've really only like felt it on the back of my hand, and sometimes I'll apply it to the cheeks just to like feel it so I can recommend it or not. It's not my absolute favorite formula. It is the CeraVe Mineral Sunscreen for the face. It is an SPF of 30. This has a very light sheer tint to it, just like my Jan Marini one does and the PCA Skin one does. It just feels a little heavier on the skin than my professional lines do. Now, if you were really in the pinch, this will be a really great alternative to using any chemical sunscreens. This retails for about $15, so it's similar in price point as the Derma E. I haven't tried the Derma E, but to be honest, I trust the brand and I would more than likely recommend that one over the CeraVe, but I wanted to give all the options because everybody has their own opinions on things and preferences, and I just wanted to be well-rounded for you. The last item I want to share with you, and this is newer to the fold, but it is so badass and cool, and I didn't really think of it because I had this lip balm from Neutrogena that had SPF in it, but when I went and looked at it for the filming of this video, I realized it was only an SPF of 15, which is not end of the world terrible. I didn't grab it, but I'll put a little picture right here of what it looks like, and it can be a little bit sticky, and I usually just keep that in my pool bag. So while doing a little bit more research, like again for this video, I came across the Sun Bum Mineral Sunscreen Lip Balm Broad Spectrum SPF 30. This smells like amazing coconuts. It smells like, is that bananas? I don't know. It smells like Hawaii in a tiny little lip balm. There is 8% zinc oxide, sweet almond oil, beeswax, jojoba, and shea butter in here. This was $3.99. $3.99, and I saw it was on Amazon too, but I didn't want to wait. I wanted to pick it up like right then and there when I was looking into this a couple of days ago. And it does give a bit of a white cast right off. Oh, it's not even gonna show up there. It's not that bad. A little baby bit of the white cast, but once I like did that, I asked my kids like if they could tell I had something on my lips, and they're like, oh, it just looks like you have a lip balm on. I was like, what? It doesn't look like I have like white lipstick on, and they're like, no, you look fine. I'm obsessed with this. I'm going to buy more of it, and I'm so excited that there is a mineral-based sunscreen for your lips, because I don't want to get any weird spots on there, and I don't want to promote any sort of wrinkling on there, because like as we age, they start to pull in a little bit, get wrinkly. It's just natural, and I want to like be as youthful for as long as possible. I don't mind aging gracefully, but if I am not doing anything to accelerate it, I'm on that boat. And that is where we will end it here today, my friend. Thank you so much for being here with me, hearing me out in today's skin therapy session. I had so much fun and did a lot of hard work looking into all this information. Just like going back on my notes from school, looking through my textbooks, reading through different pamphlets I've received from like different trainings I've gone to over the years. And I'm really proud of this. So if you enjoyed this, definitely don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And I would appreciate it if you shared this video with a friend. Share the knowledge of how important sunscreen is. And I look forward to seeing you in a skin therapy session very, very soon. I owe you a facial. I owe you a facial. We need to do another facial here very, very soon. But thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye.